Hi, Ezzy.
It's my
Oh,
first podcast ever.
isn't it? Oh, to the podcasting world,
Yeah.
welcome, Erin Reinboth, artist, such a popular artist. You're going
Oh,
gangbusters. And I feel like your art is exactly who you are, just bright, colourful, and just pure sunshine.
aw, thank you. That's the aim I'm trying to put out there.
Well, we have a background because you used to live with my husband and you were one of the best mates of my sister-in-law and such a great mate
Yeah,
of mine. So you and I go
yeah.
way back to when I think we were both at uni, interning, working
It
for
was
nothing.
our boss bitch era, I reckon.
Yeah,
When we were like, this is what we're going to be. It was our had side hustle jobs and we're working our bum off to get where we wanted to get. And look at us
exactly.
now.
You were designing, I was managing models, we were earning nothing and putting everything into it and just living the dream.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But now you're a fully established artist. You've just done a huge collaboration with Adair's, which is so mind-boggling. And I keep on saying to Will, I'm like, it's a national homewares brand, has
Yeah.
her art like wrapped in its stores. It's such a huge moment.
Thank you. It's funny. It's been a bit overwhelming, but I think you wrote that to me in a message and it made me just have a bit of a I should own this. It's a household known brand and it's so loved and I should be really proud. I think I've just been really overwhelmed by it all because it's been so amazing.
So
And
we'll come to
unexpected.
talk about how that came about, but it is amazing and you should own
Mm.
it because it's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Thank you.
So you are in Torquay. So you grew up in Adelaide, then moved
Yes.
to the Big Smoke to chase the
Yes.
design dream in Melbourne, as we
Yeah.
all do. I did it
Yeah.
myself.
We all did it.
And now then you met your beautiful hubby, you moved to Torquay, and they've got
Yeah.
two beautiful boys like
Yeah.
me
That's it.
and a
Boy
dog.
mums and Aussie who's locked outside currently.
Sorry, Oz. Yes, boy mums forever and always. We've just been
So
talking about
Rex
wetting the bed.
is 5.5 and Digby's 2.5. So like you, we are in the thick of it right now.
In the thick of it.
Yeah. But getting little glimmers of starting to get easier. I'm
Yeah,
noticing.
I agree. I think as 4 turns, as we're moving towards 5, he's becoming more. I don't know if it's a little bit more independent or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I love the conversation with him. Like he's
so much fun. So
he
much fun. The things that come out of their mouths, it's just like
I know. So, well, tell us about you. So, tell us about your family and then your work.
yeah. So there's 4 of us. So Kurt, my partner, he works in the construction industry, and then my 2 little boys. So Rex is bubbly, creative, loud drama queen, and Digby's very much like Curtis, little worker man. Nothing really gets him down. So that's been us. So what, like the last nearly 6 years for motherhood for me. We live down in Victoria's Surf Coast, so lots of space near the beach, lots of like-minded people. I luckily get to work really near home, so yeah, it's pretty great at the moment.
So nice.
Yeah.
And so before that, if what we were talking about before, you did work for years more in the corporate space for big brands, but always in the design
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
So when do you think, because I'd love for listeners of this to, I assume a lot are going to be working in a creative role, but really wanting to branch out by themselves. So what do you think was the moment, or what did you need to have? Was it a certain amount of money, a certain amount of networks, time, what age? What was it that made you take the leap?
Yeah. My journey is a little bit different, and I don't know if I've personally dove into this with you. So I studied fine arts in Adelaide. I've always painted in the background, but back then Instagram didn't exist. So you had to be quite a serious artist, which I'm not. I love bringing joy and happiness, and I don't sort of sign up to that really like dark, moody artist thing. I respect it, but that's not who I am. So there hasn't been a big space for me in my creative practice for years. So I went down the path of fashion. So I was in the industry for about 14 years. So I worked as a production assistant, textile designer, trend forecaster, studio manager. for lots of Australian global businesses. And I ended up all the while I've been painting in the background, but I think I was quite jaded from uni because I thought I had to be a certain way and I just couldn't. I'm such an authentic person, which I'm an open book, and I couldn't be that artist type that was required in the industry at the time. So I went down that fashion path and I had a bloody ball. Like I had a really amazing career. I ended my career, well, not ended, but
I resigned. I retired.
I finished up my career at the Cotton On Group. And anyone who's worked there, it's a wild and woolly place, but it's also so amazing, and it really embraces entrepreneurial people. So I had a great time there. I was there for 8 years, and I finished up as the global women's wear studio manager. So women's wear is the biggest sort of slice of the pie in that business. So it was as high as I could go. Amazing role, like really, really self-driven, which I loved. I looked after a beautiful creative team, but also got to help protect them, support them. There's a lot of responsibility, but it was fantastic. So this is going to end up being a bit of a long story, and I'm really sorry.
I love it.
So I was on that trajectory, and that role was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So when I fell pregnant with Digby, our youngest, Kurt and I decided that he would actually step back from his job and become the main caregiver, home person to support our kiddies.
So Digby was your second. So this you've already second. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Digby, and I was going to return back to work at 6 months, and we all know what that's like as a mum. But I was just so passionate and excited about this role, and sort of it felt like everything I'd worked towards, all the things we talked about as in our young 20s, and I was really excited by it. And it's such a cool business where the roles can grow around you. You're not limited to what they are, and as the business grows, your role grows. So that was the plan. All in the while, I was still painting in the background, of course, but really so much a hobby more than anything professional. Then we had Digby, and our worlds just completely changed. So when he was born, he was born with a heart condition. I'm not going to cry. I'll hold it together. It gets me really emotional, but it's the whole reason why I'm on this new journey, and it's really exciting. So he was born with a heart condition. He has a condition called SVT, which is Supraventricular Tachycardia, where his heart rate sits at 260, where it should sit at as baby at 130. So we nearly lost him. He went straight to, we live regionally, so I had a cesarean. I didn't get to meet him. He was taken straight to Melbourne to the Royal Children's, where I didn't meet him for 5 days. Kurt went with him, and it was a really traumatic experience. We were in hospital for nearly 7 weeks. And it was during COVID, so it was just yuck. You were really isolated. And anyone who's experienced Premi ICU and then any heart, we were in the cardiology ward, we lived there for nearly a month. It's so traumatic. But there's such amazing people, and there's people who are so much more worse off than what you're going through. So it puts everything in perspective. But I guess perspective for me was the biggest key, because this all happening, I just, I started thinking about the future, and I was just like, there's no way. I don't even know if this kid's going to make it to the next week. There is no way on earth that I can go back to work at 6 months. That is just so. We got out of hospital, which is incredible. I was painting in hospital to keep myself really calm, and it was really lonely because of COVID. Curtis and I could only have 1 hour together a day, so it was really, really tricky. So I really relied on my creativity and my painting again. And when we got out, I'd had this epiphany. Like I just stopped and was like, what kind of life do I want to live? What kind of mum do I want to be? What kind of partner do I want to be? And a lot of that previous life just didn't align with who I was or where I was. And that's, I guess, how painting emerged, because I had this calling to be really grounded and be back in nature and be really present with my kids and be creative again. And I was creative in my previous job, but it was this true rawness that I hadn't experienced in years and years and years. And I, like, people laugh, but I honestly, like, when Digby was born, I was reborn. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry. I still get,
Oh, I've got tingles.
no, sorry.
I
still
so
get so emotional about it because of, I guess, the trauma around what we went through, he went through. But then this magnificent journey we've had the last 2.5 years, like, it's been horrible, but it's been amazing. So I'm almost grateful for what happened, because my whole family wouldn't be living the life we're living if we hadn't had that awakening, if that makes sense.
absolutely.
Sorry, it's such a long story, but that's essentially how my art's come back, is through more of a life event and reassessing, I guess, my priorities and what kind of life I want to live. Yeah. So in saying that, I resigned. And I started painting.
Oh my God. And then
Sorry, big journey.
so when that decision came about, so obviously when he was sick, you knew at the time, like, even at 6 months, even if he's better, I'm different. I feel different. I can't stick to that plan.
100%. And I think as mums, like, we're all so torn with like the childcare drop off. Your heart just hurts. Like, you're so desperate to keep pursuing what you're pursuing. You want to be there for your kids, and it's such a tough time at this age. And I think I was probably on the wrong path for who I am. It just I probably was feeding my ego a lot with, like, the job titles I was getting, the pay rises I was getting, and an incredible role, but it's like it was not my truest self, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally resonate with the want to chase the title, and especially in the creative industry, you want that title because it takes years and so much blood, sweat, and tears to get there. So you just keep on chasing it. But in the meantime, you're like, what is my life? Because it's so tunnel vision, and you forget about the little things.
Often you get the title and you're like, what does this mean? Because it generally means there's more required of you, and there's more required of you. And it starts to actually, you sort of realize, like, oh, this doesn't mean anything. So if it's not feeling good and not working for, like, my situation and my family, what am I doing it for?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, a big trigger for my art. So the calling to be creative again, but to really honor, like, who I wanted to be in this period of my life. I'm really conscious of there's phases. So this phase, like, my babies need me, my family needs me. We need someone who can help organize the day-to-day and the life of our family, and that's me. And I want to be in that position, and I feel really privileged that I've been able to build this art business and career and do that.
So when you had that discussion with Kurt, was he happy to sort of pivot and continue on the primary income earning role?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we both were a little bit like, what were we thinking? Like, that was a bit weird. I mean, I think he would have loved to have stepped back a bit more and be really more involved. And I think it's really tricky for men at the moment, men and women, like, figuring out, that
the balance,
not the hierarchy, but the balance, of who's involved, who's sort of doing this, who's doing that. But of course, so supportive, and it was just the right thing to do. Like, he needed his mum, and If any of your listeners have been through anything traumatic with their kids, it's very hard to let anyone else take care of a sick child outside of you. So
Oh, absolutely.
he's been medicated. He's the last 2 years. So when we first got out of hospital, he was getting medicated. We had to medicate him every 2 hours to keep his heart down, or we'd end up back in hospital. So that trust level too, I just wasn't prepared to give that away to anyone. In a wonderful turn of events, he's actually just been discharged, and they think he's grown out of his condition, hopefully.
Oh,
so
that is amazing.
yeah, a really lovely story how it's ended up so far. And if you met him, you wouldn't even know there was anything wrong with him ever. He's just a brute.
So fun. I know. I love watching your two little residents. They remind me so much of my own. There's always one brute and then one sort of
sensitive one. Yeah.
But it is so beautiful that your darkest days can sort of shine light to, new futures, or just actually remind you what makes you happy, what makes you feel you, and then what comes with that.
100%. And I think even outside of something traumatic like mat leave, for a lot of women is that space where they, like that, if you have the privilege to take a year, you've got that looming idea of like, am I excited to go back, or am I not, or do I want to try something new? I've always been grateful for that, like knowing with a mat leave, you've got a little pause moment. My pause moment essentially was just a lot bigger and a big pivot.
Huge pivot.
Yeah.
So on your mat leave, so because you are an artist and you are your own boss with 2 kids, and especially one who had much higher needs, did you allow yourself to continue like full gaps of, did you ever stop painting and working and just have all your time off, or did you always use painting as the outlet?
A lot of it, yeah. I used it. I think I got quite I wanted to be on my own a lot after going through that. I just wanted to be with Digby, my family, and myself, and so I was painting a lot, and I ended up just getting these urges. And I've always been a big manifester when it comes to like my career or my game plan or my life plan. Always, like, I think, and you and I've always connected with that. We've always had a bit of a strategy in place, and I caught myself I started to go, I need to paint all the stuff that I created in hospital. I need to put it on a canvas, and I'm going to exhibit it. And so I just started, and a girlfriend who owns a beautiful gallery space in Geelong reached out to me really randomly and was like, would you like to have a solo exhibition in 3 months? Yes. So I did it. So I got those artworks on canvases, in a space where we had an opening night, and it was just wonderful. And then it was that ripple effect. So then I started painting a bit more. I got some more commissions. Then an incredible gallery, Greenhouse Interiors, knocked on my door and
oh my god, huge.
Yeah. So just that momentum started happening. And that was during mat leave, and I was trying to be quite gentle to myself, but I had this, because I have been a very career-focused person or goal-focused person, I had this pull to keep at it and keep that momentum. And so after that first year where these little things started happening, I really, the last years where I've really launched into not just being an artist, but having an art business that, I run 24/7 and can make a really like healthy contribution to our household.
Which is so nice.
And now being like a sole trader, which is amazing.
Oh, it's huge. So you've got your own beautiful studio in Torquay. So so you've turned your outlet, your hobby, into a business. So talk to me about the business, because we were having a conversation before we filmed about the huge demand now, or just the need to exist, not only as a creative, but as you are marketing yourself. So you also take on a full-time marketing job, and that is so time consuming and so 24/7. I remember when they introduced TikTok, I was like,
well, I'm not even really on it still. I'm trying.
Oh my god. And then Threads, I was like, oh no, stop.
Yeah, it's like it is a lot, but I grew up in a small business family, so it's in my blood. We're surrounded by that. So it really excites me. I feel like I'm home in a sense.
Yeah.
I
You know
love,
what to do.
yeah, and it doesn't scare me. I think a big one when you are running, like, yes, I get to paint, but painting, to make it a viable business, painting's probably 30%, 40% of it. The rest is, and a lot of stuff I've learned from the fashion industry, but like just the marketing side, your website, all that SEO stuff that I don't even understand. Finances is so huge. A critical path. It's probably not a critical path anymore. In the fashion industry, we called it a critical path, where we had our milestones for the year. So I built that out for myself, so I know where I'm working towards for each quarter. And then, I'm building relationships with different gallery owners, new collectors, networking. It's a lot, but I think if you want to go into business for yourself, like, you have to enjoy working in your business and on your business. And I love doing both. And some days I really want to do more than the other. Some days I don't want to paint, and I actually just want to admin the shit out of my website and my emails. And
I completely agree. If I ever have a writing deadline, and if writer's block, it's such a thing. If I have writer's block on that day, I'm like, all I want to do is get right into the social media stuff and get creative and just network and see who comes back and write. And it's hard to divide the time between the creative, work and then marketing the creative work, and so much is involved. Have you ever outsourced, or have you ever had to lean on someone else where you feel like you just needed help, whether it be you didn't know what to do or you were time poor?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, being pretty new to the small business world, I try and my outlays, I keep them pretty lean. So I try to do everything myself, but there's things that I just can't do, and I'm better off with a professional in that space. So I have the most incredible suppliers, and I've worked really hard at getting really good relationships with a few, not just one, because having one's dangerous too. So that's been really key. And finding, for me, finding the right couriers, finding people who can take that off my hands so I can focus on the art. And we're talking about this before we started, but the advertising space. So I've dabbled in some creative agencies helping me with advertising, and there's ebbs and flows to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The best thing about being your own boss is you can pivot. So when, like, for example, that the marketing thing was going really well, outsourcing, and then it wasn't really quickly, and I was outlaying a lot of money, really, I'm not seeing results really quickly. So I was able to I didn't have to get that signed off by anyone. I just overnight stopped it. So I love that I've got the opportunity to lean on different people, but I also can do a lot in-house as well because of my skill set.
Sometimes it can be, I think sometimes if ever you're having days where you have a dip in self-confidence, you're always like, I just need someone to do this. And then before you know it, that confidence, so you start paying someone, and then it returns, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, I feel like in the moments that you're like, okay, I've got to pay someone to help, you need to ride that wave for a couple of weeks, because before you know it, you'll be like, 100%. No, I can do it myself.
And you also quickly realize what you're willing to pay for versus what you want to do yourself. So there's things that I have no interest in doing. Like, I had my website rebuilt. I had no interest. I built my first website. I had no interest in rebuilding my second one. So I was happy to outlay like a sum of money to do that. But whereas I really enjoy the social media stuff, I've got my beautiful sister who she works in the space. So she's always health checking me, or we can flick things to each other to help me with new ideas, or her vice versa. It's really key. And I think it's not to be underestimated ever, is like your community. So your peers in the space, the art community is, especially online. I have so many like art besties that I've never met, and we support each other and give each other tips on like how to do commissions, how to do collaborations. Oh, there's nothing selling at the moment. Yeah, no, I'm the same. Like, we're all We're all in
Yeah.
the same boat. So that, to me, that's priceless. And
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people are sort of navigating the same things as I am. So I really rely on that too.
That the community online is amazing, and I'm such a
Yeah.
big fan of being as helpful and transparent as you can. So if
Yeah.
someone's like, "Oh, how did this come about?" How did, like, help someone out, or don't be afraid to ask
100%.
someone if you want the help, because I feel like just creating that, I don't know, that healthy bond of sometimes it's not advice, but this is what I did, this is who I is, this was my experience. That is so
Yeah.
valuable, and I feel like it's just all creating good karma. Like, if you remain a good
100%.
open person,
Yeah.
um I think there's no better way to be online.
A
And
hundred percent. And even like my local community, when the Adair's collaboration came out, like I was a bit nervous because I just never want to come across as like a wanker who's like just like tooting my own horn and like, look what I'm doing. I
totally.
was so blown away the the amount of people who rallied behind me. Adair's called me that next day and they were just said they were gobsmacked by
Mm.
the people that I had just cheering me on. They were so blown away with the engagement online. And it was that truest form of collaboration over competition. Like,
Yeah.
let's all collaborate. Everyone knows I'm an open book. If you ever want to talk to me about my pathway or something I'm trying out, like I will always chat to anyone because I've been there and I've been too scared to ask people before. So I
Mm.
really want to create that space where, especially women, we're like helping each other out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of us are working mums and like trying to juggle it all. So it's really nice. It's really nice that it's not this closed book. In particular in the art industry, it's really opened up and it's wonderful.
And I think because times have changed with social media, I feel like now people get really nervous about having small following. But as you said
Yeah.
before, if you've got 5 followers or 100, that's 100 people so invested in you that
How
it's
crazy is
almost,
that?
you've got to, instead of saying, "Oh, I've only got 100," it's like you've got to feed those 100 people exactly what they want, which is
Yeah.
you, and feel
Yeah.
so proud that you've done that. You don't need, I don't know, like, I think we're all too hard on ourselves about numbers. We've got
100%.
to just get rid of that and
Yeah.
just,
I
because it
couldn't
used to
agree
be
more.
easier to build
Yeah.
followers, and now
Oh,
it's hard.
massively. And if you started a bit later in the game, like for me with my art practice, I did. So I missed that. It was a big change to interest in art during COVID, and I sort of missed that wave. So sometimes I get a bit down on it because like I don't have a huge number of followings, but it is really it's exciting because it is building up, but it doesn't mean, there's so many other connections we can be building, and that's
Mm.
been a big focus for me this year, like nurturing my mailing list, nurturing all the other avenues, what trade fairs I could be going to, what exhibitions I could be going in, the community where I work out at this beautiful art precinct 10 minutes down the road, and it's all little cottages of other creatives, and you might get there on a day and there's no one there, and you might get there on a day and it's absolutely bustling and everyone chats to each other and shares tips and experiences, and it's all, I think we forget with social media,
Yeah.
all of that counts. Like that,
Yeah.
just because you've got this number online, the rest of your life counts as
Yes.
people who have interests, and I think it's changing right now, big time too.
I love what you said, the fear of not wanting to become or come off as a wanker, because I have, talking of outsourcing, I had to outsource TikTok because I was just not interested, and that meant I
Yeah,
didn't do it. I
yeah,
didn't like it. I couldn't. I don't know if I'm a bit older than the average TikToker, which I don't actually think I am. It's got nothing to do with age. I don't tend to warm to TikTok yet.
love, like I love a beautiful image and a beautiful. I don't enjoy. I'm the same with you with TikTok. I don't enjoy a lot of the content on there, so I'm probably not the right person to be posting my stuff on there. But I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
need to, I do need to as well.
It's hard because a lot of it is, I get brief, like, film this and do this for TikTok. And you're like, oh, I don't know if that,
What?
I don't know if I can. But
Yeah.
then sometimes you're like, oh, look, I'm just going to give it a go, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like when you've got your business and you're trying things out, it's all trial and error. And if you're that uncomfortable
100%.
and it's not working, just pivot, pull away.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you feel like there's an opportunity to take, just give it a crack and
Yeah.
see
And
what
like
happens.
100%. And like, to be honest, I don't want to be posting every second day on Instagram, but it's a huge part of my business. I look at it as my creative business card. So if someone's interested in my work, that's the first place they're looking, even over my website.
Yeah.
So I have to show up. And like my sister tells me off because she's in the industry. She's like, if you can't complain about it if you're not showing up. So I learned sort of last year, I just have to be me and be my authentic self. And if me showing up means me taking the piss of myself and recording myself doing a really bad dance in my studio, I'll put that up. That's me. Like I just try and keep it as me as I can. Like I'll never be able to do those voiceover cool little videos that people do. That's just not who I am. And I think my followers would just be like, "Oh, Erin,
So hard to get the timing.
embarrassing us."
Oh my God. When you film all this stuff and then you've got to do the voiceover, you've got to talk really fast because it's just, I don't know, it's its own new art form and
I
it's
think
time
so.
consuming.
You just have to find what works for you, and like it's that whole authentic thing. You just have to show up and be you.
I
However
love
it is.
your dancing and singing in the studio. I think it is so authentically you.
Well, you know me, so yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like my artwork, my art business is me. It's so personal and it's such an extension of myself. That's what I want people to feel. I mean, I don't want them to look at a painting and think of my pancake bum jiggling at their face, but I want them to feel the joy and the happiness and that excitement I get from painting when they see or if they purchase one of my artworks or they buy a candle with a collaboration I'm doing. Like I love the idea of it really working on who I am and showcasing that through my products.
So talk to us about the Adair's moment because it is so huge. How did that come about and talk us through how it all happened.
Yeah. So you'll die. I got an email from the head of design and I didn't write back because I was like, I think at the time I had 5,000 followers and I was like, why would they want me? It's little old me. I've been full-time in my painting for a year now. This must be spam. I'm not writing back. This is weird.
So you doubted yourself, didn't even believe it.
I doubted, and I just was like, this just seems like doesn't feel like real to me. And I sat on it for a week, and I ended up writing back. And then someone I studied with messaged me on Instagram. She goes, "Hey, my bosses have actually emailed you. Have you got it?" Oh shit. So that's how it started, so it was really, really humble beginnings. It's been the most wonderful.
Did you go back and say, "I'm so sorry, I found your email. Tell me how it got into my spam."
I was, you know me, I was really honest. I was just like, yes, I'd love to, pick me. Yep.
Oh, wow.
And then I actually, like, as the journey went on with them, I got to know the girls. I was like, I just want to know
why?
Like, why me? And, they had their reasonings and it was exactly what I'm about and what my art's about. And what was particularly interesting is they said my artwork lended itself to textile product really well, which in my head, because I've worked in the industry for so long doing textiles, they were polar opposites. But they saw something in it that they could turn into this whole beautiful capsule.
They did.
Yeah. And that's like, for me, that's the biggest taking was you just have to keep at it. You got to keep working.
Yeah.
Because you never know who's bloody watching either.
We, Will and I were on this long drive yesterday and we listened to David Grohl's book from the Foo Fighters.
Yes.
Not a book I would listen to without Will being like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
If anyone is in that phase of thinking like, I'm just working my ass off and nothing is happening, you got to listen to this book because he came from nothing, had a single mom, no dad in contact. just loved his craft, loved his music, but loved the people around him, and like
Yeah.
really honored rock music. And it was phenomenal. And he did exactly what you said. He manifested a lot of the time. Like he was like, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? I don't want to go
Mhm.
back. So
Mhm.
I've got to keep going. I've got to stick
Yeah.
at it, because even if it's shitty today, it's better than where I was 2 years ago.
100%. And
And the
mindset's
people you meet,
everything. 100%.
yeah.
And if you can change your thinking, you, even in a day, you might be exposed to something that can then be the catalyst for something else. When I was really nervous about starting this whole painting thing, I saw a quote that was, and it's been my mantra since the moment I saw it. And it's just simply, what's the best that can happen? So rather than doing things out of fear, flipping it and going, can I swear? Going like, okay,
Absolutely.
let's give it a crack. What's the best that can happen? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like getting offered a solo exhibition with 8 weeks to paint.
Do
What's
it.
the best that can happen? Do it. Give it a
Yeah,
crack.
yeah.
Who knows? Because it's going into something like that in this, all the things that could go wrong. Oh no, that can happen. But if you have a positive mindset, I think you're always going to come out on top, regardless of, I've had things bomb out, not work, and you just live and you learn and you move on, because that's life. So that's really similar. That whole looking to things with excitement and positivity, that's been a game changer for me.
When I wrote my books afterwards and before, people were so lovely about it and often asked, "Oh, why did you choose to self-publish?" And the truth is, because I pitched it to publishers and they all said no, and that was fine.
Yeah.
That was not the end of the road for me. Maybe some days I got a bit like, "Oh, come on, like why isn't this working?" However, going down the self-publishing road opens so many opportunities that if you were to give up every time you got a no,
Yeah.
we would all be at the same job we were at forever ago,
100%.
because you need to just take the no's and keep
Yeah.
going.
And if you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have my number one baby gift I give everyone. There's your book.
And it's just like such a beautiful way to grow and to learn, because when you have to do it all yourself,
Yeah.
you naturally get a
You have
uni
to believe
degree in
you
business
have to,
because
you have to believe in yourself, and like having that trust in what you've done is enough to then self-publish. Like that's incredible for you. And like the same with me, you put out work, like I put out collections. I've got no idea if people want to buy them, but I'm just going to do it because I need to paint and I need to put it out there, and that's just who I am, and I've got the ability to do so, so I'm doing it. And if it's well received or if it's not, doesn't matter. I'm still ticking along doing the things that I'm wanting to do.
Do you ever think of that saying, build it and they will come?
Yes. It's very true though. And I think I had a bit, once I'd become, it's funny when you call me an established artist, I'm still like I'm still figuring out how to introduce myself at school drop off. So the other day someone said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, I'm a painter. She's like, "Ah, oh, do you do 2-story houses? Because I would love to get a quote." I was like, "Oh," and I let her believe that I was a house painter because I hadn't figured out
Oh my God.
that bit yet.
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
It's like, figuring out, who you are and like where you are in that space is just like,
I know it's wild, but like who you are, you're whoever you kind of want to be.
and
It's such a big thing.
no one's going to knock on your door one day and go to you, "Hey, Tori, you're a writer and you can publish a book yourself." Like no one's ever going to do that. But maybe your mum and your dad, but like no one's going to go. And I realized that after that awkward conversation with this mum, I was like, no one's actually going to sit me down and go, "Here's your job title of an artist." It doesn't happen.
No.
And so you just have to live and breathe what you want to be, especially when you're running your own thing. You've got to live and breathe it to be it, really.
Totally. In this book, this David Grohl book, I really did love the whole manifestation thing, because I've never been someone to even think about that or affirmations or any of that. But I guess it's not like the woo-woo in it. It's just
No.
you have to be who you want to be. Otherwise, no one's going to take you
You have to have
seriously.
a bit of a plan. I think you have to have a little bit of a plan because it helps, and it can be a gentle plan, but it helps guide you into the spaces you want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm working, my partner at the moment, I'm working on his own manifestation. He's at a bit of a crossroad, and I'm trying to encourage him about start just investigating your next move or your next direction.
Yeah.
And to me, that's my form of manifestation. That's what helps me go in the direction I want to go.
So for women in business, because I just love women who, you know, have a crack at whatever they want to do, whether it's like turn the hobby into something that they can make income from or anything. And especially after having kids, I find it's so much fun, and it's so like soul feeding to find what you love, do it, build a community around it. It's just so important for your identity, for your self-worth, for everything else. But what have you found the hardest, and what is the area that you really truly believe that you do thrive in?
I think probably everyone feels this is I went into it wanting to be more present and more time with my kids. And in actual fact, when you run your own business, you know, you're thinking about it 24/7. It doesn't stop. So it's been really tricky for me to learn where I'm just like, that email can wait to Monday or Monday night. Whenever I get to it, it's okay because this is my business and that's how I'm going to operate. It's taken me a really long time to adjust from like a corporate setting where things had to be, you know, deadlines were deadlines, whereas just learning to be a little more gentler on myself because I made the deadline, so I can push it out a couple of days. Doesn't matter. No one's telling you off. You're not getting fired. But I, you know, like, and showing up for my kids, like that was my whole purpose of pivoting like this. Like, so I've really struggled with that balance, but I'm getting there, and you really take for granted. You have to put some serious steps in place to support that. The other thing I suck at is finance, cash flow. I wish I found some fantastic sort of women online who definitely support that space, but really putting on my big girl pants, and I find money yucky, and it's really silly. It's actually really empowering. So sort of last year I had to really knuckle down and like put a lot of time into that. So that realization of like, it's not just all about the paints. I've got to make this a functioning thing, that we're not just, it's not this big lavish hobby where we're just all the family money. So yeah, they're probably the two big ones for me. I think what I'm thriving in at the moment, outside of loving painting, is I think like that marketing space. I'm really enjoying showing up and taking a new approach to showing my customers who I am and what I can present. And I'm probably not, you know, there's a lot of cookie cutter. You've worked in the industry too. Like there's a lot of set ways you're meant to operate in the marketing world. And being your own boss, I think it's really fun, especially with social media changing so much. You can pivot and try things, and you can see what works and what doesn't. I wouldn't say I'm thriving at it, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm seeing results gradually.
I think with that, if anyone is starting a business, I think taking yourself seriously and like owning what you do, so important. And also, what was I going to say? With the social media aspect, I feel like you can create a strategy and a look, but as soon as it comes to content creation, you will know as soon as it's not aligned with you, because you will feel dicky, or you'll question it. If you ever are unsure about whether to post it, it's probably not you.
We're not right.
But when you're so excited to get out there, it's like, good, put that out there. So it's just follow your gut instinct. Don't try and do what they do, even if it feels
100%.
scruffy. I always feel scruffy. It's not scruffy. It's you.
And exactly. And it's if you're showing up as you, it's good. And me and a few other art friends, because the algorithm's been a bit cruel, we've all turned off our likes. So it's about, and it's helped me so much because I'm just like, I want to share this beautiful painting. It's stunning. It's showcasing what I do, my craft, and I would love it on my grid. And I post it, and I don't even look back for a second now about, oh, I got 7 likes. Like, why?
Oh, I didn't even know you could do that. So it takes
Yes,
all of that.
You can choose to turn off like your individual posts or the whole thing. So
Wow.
I don't know. It's really helped me as a creative. You feel when you put your work out there, it's so raw and scary. To that layer of social media on top of it and waiting for likes and stuff or unfollows, like if you can kind of control as much as you can of it. And I don't know if it's a bad thing, like maybe Instagram hates that, but it's helping me and it's helping it. I'm probably showing up more since I did it because I'm not worried about numbers anymore. I'm just want to, show the world what I'm doing.
That's I love that. So you've got nothing really to check because you're not checking for likes or views.
Yeah, you can
out
still
there.
go in and check it all, but it's not at the forefront. So you're not logging in and going, oh gosh, that bombed. It doesn't matter because that's not what I'm here for. So
yeah.
my sister will kill me for saying that, but.
Oh my God, I just love you and your energy, and I'm so thankful because honestly, I wasn't sure if you'd want to do the podcast, and I was like, love her on, just so much. And you are we've known each other for over a decade, and I feel like we were both just working so hard in that creative space. And you have just done exactly what you wanted to do, and obviously pivoted with the birth of your second little boy.
Yeah,
but ended up here, and it's just such an amazing, and it's very inspiring to watch. So I hope you know that everything you put out there, it is so beautifully received, and it creates
thank you.
It's so much energy to everybody else. So
and right back at you, like you're an inspiration to me too. You're showing up every day and getting it done, and like the more we have surrounded by women like ourselves, it's we're all unstoppable, and like having that peer encouragement's just so big and huge. And I really hope, I love that you said that I am hopefully inspiring people, because I really do. I really wished I'd started all of this earlier. But you can't control how the world works. But
yeah,
I'm having a good time.
Oh my God. Well, you've been a pleasure. I can't wait. Everything will be linked so people can look at your work. Have you got any galleries coming up?
I do. I'm being taken to the Affordable Art Fair in Melbourne in August. Ooh. So that's a big one. Then I have, what else have I got going on? I've got a solo exhibition at the end of the year in Brunswick. So I'll reveal more about that. That's sort of before Chrissy. And a couple of other little collabs coming through, which I'm excited about. I can't tell you anything yet, but they're cool.
Well, you're still all over Adair's, and obviously your own amazing platforms, which will all be linked. But we will finish off the podcast because I forgot to ask you at the start the famous word. So I was just curious to know, what is the first word you thought of when you heard the term creative freedom?
Empowerment.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I would 100% agree. It is so empowering. Yeah. So empowering.
It is. Yeah, that's for me, everything that means to me, especially at the moment, creatively and personally.
Bravo, because you are such a divine mum to your gorgeous boys. They are the cutest little things in the world. So thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thanks for having me.
You're always welcome.